Well, gents, this is AutoRestorationVideos.com. Let me tell you some of the disadvantages of using the double ball joint separator forks on a Porsche 911 lower control arm. The thing is, to get this shock off, I used 2 forks to get it off. But before I decided to go with the 2 forks, I was beating heavily with one big ball joint separator, alright? And it ripped the boot and it put a big nick in my lower control arm here. Luckily the sun is out today, and luckily I have a MIG welder, so I'm going to go ahead and weld this thing up. Then we should be good to go. However, the next time when I take off the other side, I'm going to use one of those ball joint separators that is like a spreader. Alright, it's got a nut on it. You just put it under here, under the shock and on the arm, and you tighten it up, and as you tighten it up, it will spread apart and it will pop the thing off. Can't take another chance on damaging one of these lower control arms because they go for around $400 to $500. Let me take you for a close up, and you can see what I'm talking about, the damage that I did. Here you can see the little nick I put in the side, but I'm going to weld that up. I can't take any chances. Now I'm working on my my highest temperature range for this 110 volt welder. I guess that's about it. Got a little tiny scratch there, but I'm not going to worry about that. I guess most of this I'm going to have to grind off with a regular file because there's a very tight area there. Now, I started with the file. It was going along pretty good. So I figured, you know, let's kick it up a notch and make it go a little faster. So I got this little mini grinder here, except my wheel is pretty well shot on this thing, and I was starting to use this. But this was taking me twice as long as the file, because it's all, the wheel is shot, all ground down. So my weapon of choice in this situation is this little cutoff wheel here. This works great as a grinder, especially if you're doing like little tiny beads or little welds, spot welds like this. This grinds it right down, but you got to watch it. If you can't control this thing, you could end up with a ton more damage than you could ever imagine. So I'm going to go ahead and grind this thing down here a little bit. I do have that one little tiny weld I got on the inside of that little indentation there, and I might have to do that by hand, but that's really, really small. It's like a 32nd of an inch. That I could just knock off the top on that one, you know, and I'd be doing fine. So guys, just want to let you know, sometimes stuff happens and you have to correct it one way or the other. You just can't turn your back on it and say that's okay and throw it on your car. If this thing was to ever let loose, say I was doing over 100, that would be all she wrote. So guys, I'm going to go ahead and grind this thing off, and if I run into any more problems, I'm going to show it to you on the tape. Don't forget, after I grind this all off, I'm going to put some prime on here, and then I'm going to go ahead and get some semi-gloss black, if I can find it, and just touch up this area here where I've been welding. Make sure you wear your hearing protection. You don't want to go deaf. And don't forget to put your goggles on too. Better to be safe than sorry. You could even opt for one of these shields. They're not bad, but when you put these shields on, then you can't put your hearing protection on. Then you got to get yourself the little tiny plugs that go in your ear, like, you know, swimmers use, or guys in the old artillery in the 101st Airborne. Now after you get done with the wheel, you can go ahead and get yourself some emery paper. I'm going to be using some 120 grit. Oh yeah, after I got done with the wheel, I went over it again with my file. Try, you know, to make sure it all blends in right. You know, sometimes, you know, you might be thinking they're going to the extreme here. Nobody's ever going to see it. But hey, I know it's there. So like I said, I'm going to go over this with my emery paper and just clean this up a little bit more and get rid of some of my file marks. Alright, I'm using 120 grit emery paper. Good thing I had the old ball joint in here, huh? You can see that boot really got messed up. So I'm going to go ahead and this is pretty much finished here. I know the other side I got a couple nicks in, but I'm just going to maybe go over that with a file a little bit, just give it a couple quick shots. It's very, very minor. So I'm going to go ahead and clean this up a little bit with some alcohol or wax and grease remover. I'm going to go ahead and prime it with some Rust-Oleum rusty metal prime. Then I'm going to shoot some black on it. And then that's it for this, except for putting in new bushings. Here it is with the Rust-Oleum rust prime on, sitting in the sun, waiting to dry. If you just get a can of spray paint out of a cold area, before you spray with that can of spray paint, let it sit out in the sun, because it will run really quick if you don't heat up that paint. I'm waiting for it to heat up a little bit so I can touch up a couple areas on the stabilizer pan, stabilizer bar pan, and lower control arm here. I just sprayed it with the black. The only thing is, it's glossy black. Well, give it a while, it will dull out. Well, that's it for this one, guys. Till I replace the bushings. We'll see you in the next video. This is AutoRestorationVideos.com signing off. Till the next episode.